There is always a debate about how far parents should push their children in life. Some advocate for gentle parenting, while others believe that tough love is occasionally necessary. In early 2015, Hong Kong was abuzz in every corner, not only because of the Chinese New Year festivities, but also due to a terrifying case that had just shaken the nation. People watched as news unfolded, telling the story of how one man, with the help of his best friend, managed to kill his parents and store their remains. As the trial progressed, the public waited in anticipation, wondering how he could commit such an act against the people who had raised him. This is the baffling and horrific case of the Tai Kok Tsui Murders, where a son chopped up and cooked his parents. Carla Page, a young, ambitious journalist, received an invitation that will change her life forever. Invited by billionaire Ruben Navarro, Carla finds herself at a private party among the world's elite on a secluded tropical island. But as a deadly storm rages, a chilling murder unfolds, trapping everyone on this island. With each clue Carla uncovers, the mystery only deepens, leading her and you on a hidden object adventure like no other. Sounds familiar? Yes, I'm talking about my favorite murder mystery game, Murder by Choice. In Murder by Choice, your decisions drive the story, filled with plot twists and danger. You will test your detective skills by investigating crime scenes, uncovering crucial clues, and searching for hidden objects in visually stunning settings. And now, with their latest feature, the journey takes an even more thrilling turn. The game is updated with its new feature, Memories, where you can unlock the past of the characters involved to understand the present. So this is how. Collect memory shards through hidden object scenes to access memory stories. Each guest on the island has their own interesting backstories that will guide you to understand their role in the murder mystery you have to solve. Each memory story is divided into acts, revealing secrets and motives that will reshape how you view every character. So are you ready to play detective and rewrite the story? Dive into the memories, solve the mystery. The link is below in the description, so hit download and jump back into Murder by Choice today. And trust me, it is a wild ride. In the bustling city of Hong Kong, there lived a couple named Glory Chow Wing Ki and Mun Siu Wet Yi. On March 2nd, 2013, their disappearance left their sons, Chow Hoi Ying and Henry Chow Hoi Lung, confused and desperate. They didn't receive any calls or messages from their parents, and there was no prior communication about their whereabouts. Henry tried to reassure his brother, mentioning he had overheard their parents discussing a trip to mainland China. However, Hoi Ying was skeptical. He began contacting friends to try and find Mun Siu or Glory Chow. By March 7th, at Chow Hoi Ying's insistence, the brothers went to the Western police station to report their parents missing. They told the police they hadn't heard from them since early March. At the station, Henry said he last saw his parents on March 2nd at Langham Place in Mong Kok for tea and hadn't seen or heard from them since. The police checked the immigration records, which confirmed that Mun Siu and Glory Chow hadn't left the country since their disappearance. Determined to find their parents, the brothers launched a social media campaign with a Facebook page titled My Missing Mom and Dad. On March 13, they reached out to Apple Daily for help and shared the same story they had told the police. Henry told the newspaper that his parents had plans to travel to mainland China before they disappeared. He gave several media interviews, which are still available on YouTube, continuing their public search while hiding a grim truth. The situation escalated on March 14, 2013, when the brothers were called back for further questioning by detectives. During the interrogation, Henry managed to keep his phone, which continually buzzed with messages. Remarkably, even in such a high-stress situation, he used this opportunity to confess to his friends in a WhatsApp gaming group that he had murdered his parents. His messages revealed his calculated approach and his lack of empathy. What he said included, "I am in the police station now, but I'm going to string the police along for a while because I need to buy time to say a final goodbye to good friends. Then I will tell them the truth. My murder partner and I were planning to make it a missing person case and dump the bodies piece by piece. I process emotions differently from a normal person." The next evening, Henry met with a friend for dinner and openly discussed the details of the murder, making it clear that his earlier confessions were no joke. When his friend asked what he planned to do next, Henry casually mentioned his intention to return home, clean up, get a good night's sleep, and then turn himself in the following day. Luckily, the gravity of Henry's admissions in the gaming group chat was not lost on everyone. One member, recognizing the urgency and seriousness of the situation, reported Henry's messages to the police. This swift action led to the arrest of both Henry and Tsui on March 15, 2013. Once in custody, the investigators faced the daunting task of piecing together the events that led to the murders. They intensely questioned both suspects, focusing primarily on Henry. His earlier inclination to confess continued, and it wasn't long before he started providing the details the police needed to understand the full horror of what had happened to his parents. Further questioning revealed that Henry Chow Hoi Leung and his accomplice and his best friend, Angus Che Chun Kei, committed one of the most shocking murders against Henry's own parents in an apartment in Tai Kok Tsui. They had been chopped and cooked like meat. More brazenly, their murderous son went to the media, urging people to find his missing parents. This gave netizens an eerie feeling, knowing they had first sympathized with a man who seemed eager to find his parents, only to discover he had murdered them in cold blood. So what was going on in the family? Glory Chow Wing Ki and Moon Siu Wet Yi lived with their two sons. They prospered through the property business, buying an apartment in the 1980s and selling it for double its value a decade later. They continued this pattern of buying and selling property as the market prices increased. By 2013, they were comfortably retired, living off the profits from their investments and having reached near retirement age. The Chow parents were committed to providing a good education for their sons, pushing them to excel in both academic and non-academic pursuits. While little is known about the older son's educational or career achievements, the younger son Henry has reportedly been a source of stress to the family over the years. Henry Chow Hoi Leung was born on June 7, 1983. An acquaintance from his childhood described Henry as often being in his own world, not having many friends, and frequently getting into conflicts with others. Academically, Henry struggled significantly, as evidenced by his failure to pass the Hong Kong Certificate of Education examination, a crucial academic milestone akin to a high school diploma. Additionally, the domestic atmosphere was strained due to Henry's long-standing resentment towards his mother, who had insisted on piano lessons since he was in elementary school. Henry's parents, hoping to tap into his potential, arranged for him to study actuarial science at the Australian National University in Canberra, Australia. Unfortunately, Henry's experience abroad was marred by bullying and physical assaults, which only added to his distress. After 3 years, he dropped out, but misled his parents into believing he had graduated. He returned to Hong Kong in 2003, embarking on a difficult chapter of his life. In Hong Kong, now in his 20s and lacking a degree, Henry found it challenging to find employment. In 2011, through a contact, he briefly secured a job, but was dismissed after a few weeks due to poor performance. He later worked as a real estate reporter for a newspaper, but quit after being penalized by his employer, which he found intolerable. Henry's personal life was equally tumultuous. He had numerous girlfriends from mainland China, but none of these relationships lasted for various reasons. Like many young people, he tried to invest in stocks, but in 2012, he suffered significant financial losses. His parents helped him out financially, and without any apparent remorse, he even suggested they sell their house and split the proceeds among the family. Henry was somewhat of a loner and had difficulty getting along with others, but he found a close companion in Angus Chechun-Kay, whom he met in 2007 during a small job. Despite the age difference, with Che being older, Henry dominated their relationship, with Che looking up to him like a brother and often showering him with food and gifts. This relationship dynamic, where the younger Henry took the lead, was unusual in a culture that typically emphasizes respect for elders. Che's background was challenging. Growing up in a small family with only his mother and older sister, his life took a difficult turn when his father left them while Che was still under the age of 5. His mother worked 2 jobs to support the family, and Che struggled academically and faced bullying at school, causing his sister significant concern for his safety and future. There was a rumor that Che once dated his sister, though this claim remains unverified. In stark contrast to Henry's tendencies, Che was a hopeless romantic, whose relationships often ended in heartbreak. Girlfriends who deceived him, were already married, or financially exploited him. This personal setbacks drove Che to try to kill himself multiple times, from which he was repeatedly rescued by his sister. Unfortunately, these attempts resulted in permanent brain damage, impairing his ability to understand and retain information. Meanwhile, Henry was also going through a lot in his life. According to him, his mother was unable to face him, disappointed by what he had become. In September 2012, amid his existential crisis, Henry disclosed his plans to kill himself to Che. He envisioned a dramatic exit, jumping from a building dressed in a tuxedo with a bottle of red wine. Che managed to talk him out of it, urging him to find another outlet for his frustrations. And Henry's thoughts took a dark turn. If he couldn't end his own life, he reasoned perhaps he should target the source of his perceived misery, his family. Long harboring resentment and feeling overshadowed by his older brother, Henry reached a breaking point. Henry had a dark plan to kill his parents, and surprisingly, Che agreed to help him. It's not really clear why Che would agree to such a horrifying plan. Henry also mentioned that after the murder, he planned to go on a crime spree in the mainland with Che, targeting women until they were either caught or killed. The following is based on Henry's account. On March 1st, Henry came up with a plan to get his parents over to Che's place in Tai Kok Tsui. He told them he had found a new apartment and needed help setting it up, maybe hoping to mend their rocky relationship a bit. They agreed, thinking they were just going to clean and organize his new spot. But when they got there, the situation took a dark turn in the living room. Che and Henry ambushed Moon Siu and Glory Chow from behind. Jae grabbed Munsiu, covered her mouth, and slashed her throat, while Henry simultaneously attacked his father. Glory Chow tried to fight back, leading to a scuffle that ended with both him and Henry on the floor. Henry ended up stabbing him in the back of the neck, and Jae stepped in to finish it by cutting Glory Chow's throat. In the chaos, Henry got himself stabbed in the leg and sliced his finger, which later needed stitches at the hospital. By the time he got back, Jae had already started chopping up the bodies, salting the parts, and stashing them in airtight containers. Jae then came up with a gruesome idea to cook the remains like char siu, the Chinese barbecued pork. They chopped the body parts into smaller bits, cooked them in the microwave with BBQ sauce, and then laid them out on rice in styrofoam lunchboxes to store in the fridge. They dumped the leftover bones and organs wrapped in sand off a pier at Langcheng Bay. It's still a question whether they actually ate any of the so-called barbecue, but just the thought freaked people out. The police didn't just rely on Henry's and Jae's words. They had to see the crime scene themselves. When they got into the flat, they were hit with the sight of a blood-stained carpet and a horrible smell. In a second bedroom, they found all sorts of chilling evidence: a chopping board, body bags, hundreds of styrofoam boxes, and a bucket with a saw and knives. They also found 3 garbage bags stuffed with human limbs and other grisly leftovers, clearly showing just how brutal the crime was. In a cramped storage area next to the kitchen, there were 2 refrigerators, each topped with a microwave. When the police opened the first fridge, they made a horrifying discovery: Glory Chow's severed head in the freezer compartment and Munsiu's head in the other. Inside the fridges were neatly stacked lunchboxes filled with microwaved human flesh in BBQ sauce on rice. The gruesome scene was so shocking that several officers reported avoiding meat for a long time afterward. The grisly details were overwhelming, even in court. The trial at the Court of First Instance began on August 4th, 2014, with both defendants, Henry and Jae, present. The graphic nature of the case proved too much for the jury. One juror requested to be dismissed due to psychological distress, and another soon followed. This left the jury too small to proceed, reducing the initial 7 members to 5. As a result, on August 13, 2014, High Court Deputy Judge Michael Stuart Moore declared that the trial would need to restart with a new jury of 9. The trial resumed in February 2015, with media spotlight largely on Henry, the son of the victims. His defense team argued for diminished responsibility, citing psychiatric evaluations. Psychiatrist Chung Ka-fai suggested Henry might suffer from bipolar disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and various personality disorders. One particularly chilling detail emerged about Henry's motive. He reportedly believed in an impending apocalypse that he thought could only be avoided by committing murder before he turned 30. Chung noted that Henry chose his parents as targets not only because of his emotional detachment from them, but also because they were conveniently accessible. Throughout the trial, Henry continued to blame his parents for his life's failures, claiming distractions like his father's loud TV habits and his mother's insistence on piano lessons adversely affected his focus and social interactions. He even claimed that his mother's actions made him uncomfortable in front of a girl he liked. Reflecting on the aftermath of the murders, Henry expressed a sense of relief when he saw his parents' empty beds the following morning. Jae, on the other hand, denied any involvement in the deaths, but admitted that he assisted his accomplice in cleaning up the crime scene. Tse only assisted Henry because Henry had threatened to kill Tse's mother if he didn't comply. This provided an opportunity for Henry's defense team to build the narrative that Henry was genuinely mentally challenged from the start. The consultant of Siulam Psychiatric Center, Lui Sing Hung, conducted an IQ test for Tse and Chow. Based on the results that Chow's IQ was 126, while Tse's IQ was only 84, Lui argued that Chow, having a higher IQ than Tse, could have manipulated and framed Tse for the murder. Michael Stuart Moore, Deputy Judge of the High Court, delivered the verdict on March 20th, 2015. Henry Chow Hoi Lung was found guilty of double murder and sentenced to life in prison. Judge Michael Stuart Moore described Henry as an extremely dangerous man who would lie to everyone and was a superb manipulator who blamed everyone but himself in life. On the other hand, Angus Tse Chun Kei was found not guilty of the killings. Instead, Tse received a 1-year sentence for hindering the legal burial of the dead. He was granted early release after serving 2 years in detention. He did some interviews and claimed that he didn't kill the elderly couple because his mother always told him not to hurt others. He admitted that his mistake was allowing himself to be used and manipulated by Henry. What are your thoughts on this? Henry grew up with money and the best education he could get. He had a good IQ and a bright future, if only he had tried to push himself. However, when he failed, he blamed his parents and grew resentful towards them. If he could, he would blame everyone who wronged him in the past for making him a brutal murderer. Like psychiatrist Dr. Lui Sing Hung said, he is indeed narcissistic. So what's your take on this case? As for the broader implications of parenting and its impact, the case is an extreme example of how things can go tragically wrong. While tough love is often debated in parenting circles, it's clear that no specific parenting style can be directly blamed for something as heinous as murder. In Henry's case, despite the advantages of wealth and education, his psychological issues and his inability to cope with pressures tragically led to catastrophic decisions, which resulted in the loss of 2 people who tried to raise him to be able to stand on his own 2 feet. May Glory Chow and Mun Siu rest in peace. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.